Hi there. Hi, everyone. Right. So I'm really super excited to be able to share a little bit more of the framework that I use when I work with clients. And everyone has a framework, and I have been able to establish a framework that works, that is simple and straight to the point. It also helps you to identify your weak areas, okay, when you are creating and then implementing event marketing strategies. So it's a fantastic framework, really centered on how you can make sure you sell out your events, but also more importantly, delight your attendees so that they come back, so that they tell other people about you, so that you can make sure that you get your return on investment when it comes to your events. So that's why this is all about wowing your attendees. And this framework will help you to really focus on those elements during the event marketing process. So here we go. If you want to avoid empty seats, okay, empty rooms, empty seats, you know, um, tickets not sold to events. More importantly, if you want to avoid boring your attendees, okay, sponsors and partners, where people don't particularly look forward to coming to your events. They're not compelled to register or book a ticket. And sometimes even after they may have registered or purchased a ticket, why would they leave their desk to come? Why would they leave their office? Why would they leave, all of the other great things that they enjoy doing to come to your event? And the bottom line, especially when you are organizing events in the corporate sector, is flushing money down the drain. That is what we're trying to avoid. So this is what this framework is all about, avoiding these three possibilities. 84% of customers, and this includes attendees, people who invest their time in coming to your events, they want to be treated like a person. We all love being treated like a person, not a number. And this is crucial in 2020. Now, we've heard it before in all marketing, but it's becoming particularly important as we move forward. So the question is, how do you treat your attendees? How do you treat potential registrants to your event? Okay, are you treating them like a person? Are you taking into consideration their needs and what's important to them, their pain points, their challenges? Have you made sure that the content of your event will address and even solve some of those pain points or challenges? Okay, you've got to be helpful, you've got to be interested, you've got to be curious about the needs and the wants of your customers. Okay, so 84% is quite a high number. So it's really important that you start thinking about, or you ensure that as a team, you're thinking about the needs of your attendees. They're real human beings, okay? And people buy from humans. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because at the moment, the one differentiator between any particular company, any brand, any business who is using in-person events to build community, to create leads, to make sales, okay? The one thing that sets you apart from other companies doing it, the one thing that gets your attendees, your cohort, your community, your employee set of people to come to your event is the experience. You are competing purely based on experience in 2020. What experience are you providing to your attendees that is not transactional in its nature? Okay, what can you make them feel? Can you make them feel on top of the world in whatever way is appropriate for your brand or business? And I think this should really give you some hope, because a lot of the times people think they're competing against price, for example. That's the biggest and the most common one, but it's not. It is the experience. So what can you do to differentiate yourself from another brand, from another event, another conference that is vying for the attention of your attendees? Well, that's where the framework comes in. So these are the 4 C's of effective event marketing. really, I couldn't think of any other jazzy name for it, but I always call it the 4C's, okay? And this will help you sell out your events. And I'm not just talking about the initial ticket sales, I'm talking about absolutely smash the actual attendee experience. And there are 4 key things that we're going to quickly go through. This is the framework that I use with every single client. And now, as we go through them, you will realize that not all 4 of them, so sometimes you might be working on 1 or 2 of the 4, which is totally fine. Sometimes it's not necessary for all 4 things to be in play at the same time, at the same pace, with the same intensity. Okay, you might ease off on one and put the gas down on another. But these are the 4 essential elements, recipe items, ingredients for the perfect event recipe that you will need to sell out your events. Okay, so let's go for it. Here they are. See, nice and easy, nice and simple. I love to keep things real simple. Content. Every touch point is content. And in fact, everything is content, right? So every time you talk about your event, every time you put something into action with your event, it is content. Now, you do need content, whether that be a blog post, an event ad, whether it be social media posts, whether it be videos, audio, everything is content. Okay, so you've got to have some form of content. If you're not expressing or sharing a message in whatever format and on whatever platforms are appropriate for your business, then it's very difficult to actually get people to come to your event. Okay, so although the event itself is a form of content, you have to, express, you've got to translate the purpose of that event to your attendees. And the most important thing to think about with with contents rather, is showing and proving your event value. Now, notice I've used the words show and prove. Okay, so you can show pictures, videos, testimonials, speaker clips. Okay, show and prove the value, especially with these high ticket events. These are the ones that you really need to be able to demonstrate real value, okay, to potential attendees. And within the corporate space, this is particularly important when people are bombarded with options, with messages about going to this event, that event, etc. How do you show and prove your value? Well, your content is your opportunity. It's the vehicle that you will use to build trust with your potential attendees, to show them your credibility, and make sure that you're treating them as people. So make sure that content really highlights, okay, how you are going to address a pain point, a challenge, a need in that particular attendee or group of people. The second effective element is community. Now, if you're creating great content before, during, and after your event, you will start to create community. Okay, so your attendees, your sponsors, your partners, they will want to go on that journey with you. They will want to keep contact with you, to stay close to your brand. They want to be involved with your brand. And it's really you who has to take the lead in involving your attendees in the experience, okay? And that's why I use the word involve, because you're not really telling them, you're not talking at them. It's about involving them in communication, include them in the experience, and create memories with them at the event. And I talk about this a lot. How can you involve your community? How can you make them feel a part of it? In fact, even better, get them to actually take ownership of an element of the event. You see a lot of great activities now where there'll be this massive wall on the side of a venue and people are asked the question, what are your hopes and dreams, or what's your favorite food? What country did you enjoy most traveling to? And they write it on a post-it note and they stick it on the wall. That is getting people involved. It's a simple, very simple activity, but it gets people involved. They're expressing themselves, they're exposing themselves, okay? They are participating in that experience. So creating community is key before, during, and after your event, because community helps people feel connected and it helps them to invest in your brand or business. Okay, particularly in the corporate world. Okay, you want employees, for example, to feel invested in the brand, in the overall business, using your in-person events. You want your sponsors to feel invested, included, and represented in the experience that you provide to attendees. And that is why community is something to really think about and focus on in 2020 when you are creating experiences, when you're providing an experience, okay, at your in-person event. Now, in order to achieve content, great content, and community, you need to collaborate. So you will need to collaborate on a basic level with other teams within your organization or business to be able to host the event, put the event on, but also work with your sponsors. One of the biggest things I always say is work with what you've got. It's not really about spending more money in places. It's actually looking at the resources that you already have and how you can leverage those existing resources and people and networks. So work with your sponsors to think about how you can come up with a great experience. How can you integrate the experience more for your attendees? Okay, so they get more out of the event. How can you work with your partners, people who are helping you put the event on, to heighten the event experience? For example, you may have employees. They can act as ambassadors. They can act as influencers within their own peer groups and networks to promote the event. At the event, they can be there to engage people, to include people. They can be your kind of in-house hype people. And people forget about this quite often. It's not necessarily about hiring more, paying for more, buying more, investing in more to get more. Sometimes you need to leverage and deep drill down into the existing resources that you have. And your employees are a great, great start. Your sponsors who've already agreed to work with you, collaborating with them makes the whole process easier, but it also heightens the event experience for your attendees. Now, you can do all the work, content, community, collaboration, and you know what? No doubt you've probably heard about all of this before. But actually, being creative is how you really achieve those things with enough energy, enough zest, and get the whole team behind your event. Okay, so you've got to be creative. Think outside of the box. Okay, how can you heighten the experience in a way that doesn't require you to invest more money necessarily into the event, but that allows you to reach your attendees, allows your attendees to come away from the event really feeling something? Okay, you've got to cause an emotional trigger, okay, a change, a shift in your attendees, that they've learned something, they've met new people, they've met interesting people, they've made meaningful contacts at your event, they've upskilled themselves, they see where they can continue to learn and develop and grow. That is what you need to be able to do at the end of the day, to be able to demonstrate the return on investment for using in-person events to grow your brand or business. So content, community, collaboration, and then creativity. Keep it fresh. Now, here's the most important thing. 70% of attendees become regular customers or ambassadors or influencers after an experiential event. This is why it is so key to treat your attendees like real humans. It is so key to create community, help them feel involved and invested, because then they go on to buy from you. So you're creating leads and therefore customers. Again, going towards that bottom line and being able to demonstrate to the board, to the CEO, or even to your own self that there has been a return on investment for your event. So that's just a brief overview of the framework that I use with all of my clients. Some people may well have the content, but they don't have the community. Some people are collaborating well, but they don't have enough content. Okay, and some people just aren't being creative enough in their space, which might be saturated, and so they've got to think deeper on the creativity elements of what it is that they're doing to be able to achieve, okay, the return on investment. be able to make sure that they are ultimately growing their brand. So yes, remember the bottom line is to try and wow your attendees in 2020. So if you do want to work with me, if you do know that you or your team need a little training on this, how do you create an experience at your events, okay, that make sure that people become customers, then send me a direct message. Catch you next time, guys.